Forget left versus right for a second. The real story right now in Australia is that more and more people are losing faith in the major parties, not just Labor, not just Liberals, not just the Nationals, the whole political class. G'day, folks. Richo here, and this is Richo's Report. Australia has a huge trust problem at the moment, and it's not just about one party or one leader. More people are frustrated with Labor and they are frustrated with coalition, and more Australians are starting to look outside the two party system. And you can see it in the numbers. According to the latest news poll reported by The Australian and Michael West Media, One Nation has moved ahead of Labor in the primary vote, while the coalition is sitting well behind both. Now, whether you're a One Nation supporter or a One Nation hater, that is not the main point here. The main point is Australians are clearly looking for something else, somewhere else. As we can see, support for uh, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has slumped. Well, One Nation has edged ahead through the country's most popular political party in a news poll. And the survey shows a 4 point rise in One Nation's primary vote to 31%, whilst Labor's has dipped to 30%, and the coalition gave up 2 points to 18%. The news poll published in The Australian also registered a 1 point decline for the Greens to 11%. This is a huge thing to for us to look at, guys. It's not just showing this. It's a huge thing that the approval rating is slumping, and it says that 36% of respondents are satisfied with the Prime Minister, while 60% are dissatisfied. Reports show that this is his lowest net approval since the 2022 election. It marks a huge turning point, and it marks the first time since Newspoll was started in 1985 that the major parties, Labor and the Coalition, together attracted fewer than 50% of the primary votes. Now, this should scare our major parties. It's going to put them on edge. They're going to be worried about what happens next and what's going to happen at the next election. And this didn't just happen overnight. Look at the 2025 federal election results from the AEC. Labor won 94 seats, up from 77. The coalition dropped from down to 43 seats from 58. That is a massive shift on the political landscape. As we can see here, we've got data showing this information for us. So you can see across the board, New South Wales, 28 seats, Victoria 27, 12 in Queensland, 11 in WA, 7 in SA, 4 in Tasmania, 3 in the ACT, 2 in the Northern Territory. The Liberals 12, 9, 16, 4, 2, 0, 0, 0. And then if we go to your Greens, they got one seat in Queensland. Centre Alliance, one here in SA. Katter, he's always going to get that seat in Queensland. And Independents got a total of 10. 6 in New South Wales, 2 in Victoria, 1 in WA, 0 here in SA, 1 in Tasmania. That makes up 10. So it's showing a shift, and it's meaning that we're going to be looking at some changes for our upcoming election. And we're not going to be just focusing on what happens next. It's focusing on what's happening in the next 5, 6, 7, 10, 20 years. And that's what the parties are going to be looking at. The first preference vote tells an even bigger story. The AEC results show Labor on 34.56% of the national first preference, Liberals 20, Greens 12, Nationals 3. That's a whole lot of votes going to independents and minor parties. And that tells me that Australians are not just voting for the same old thing anymore, that they're wanting change. We've got the change that they're wanting to see right here. As we can see, Labor Party Liberals, Liberal National of Queensland, the Nationals, Country Liberals in the Northern Territory, the Greens, Centre Alliance, Katter's Party, Independents, Pauline Hanson's One Nation. They got nearly a million votes. Trumpet of Patriots, the Family First Australia, Libertarian Party, Legalised Cannabis, Australian Citizens Party, Gerard Rennick People First. Yeah, we've got huge amount of parties in here, not affirmed as well, but it's showing a change. It's showing a trend that the major parties can't can't ignore anymore. And here's where it gets serious. The Grattan Institute put out a report called For the People, Future Proofing Australia's Democracy. The point I take from it is simple. Australians still believe in democracy, but the trust in government and political leadership is under pressure. It's scary for these guys. And honestly, are you surprised? You know, people are paying more for housing, more for transport, more for food, more for insurance, more just to live. I mean, a simple thing in Australia, vehicles. Australia has an obsession with diesel when it comes to our cars because let's be honest, it is an extremely fuel efficient mode of transport. A petrol vehicle is going to struggle to get the same Ks to the 100 or litres to the 100 that a diesel is going to manage to do. And our illustrious government has decided to bring in the new vehicle efficiency standards, and they're going to tax anything that's not hybrid or electric so that they force us to go down this path. That works for people living in Sydney, in Adelaide, in Melbourne, in Perth, in Brisbane, and Gold Coast, Newcastle, even. But you live outside of the major cities and the major rural hubs. An electric vehicle is going to do you no good. A hybrid vehicle is going to do you no good. Do we wonder why they haven't made millions and millions of hybrid trucks, tractors, and implements that we use in agriculture and transport? It's because it's not as efficient as everyone says. They're great in town, but Australia's a big country. And when you're going hundreds or thousands of kilometres in a day, petrol can't do it. Hybrid can't do it. An electric sure as hell can't do it, but a diesel can. We had those tests of the electric trucks. Yeah, they tested them. They drove one from Sydney to Canberra. Probably totally empty. Like, see, it made it here. Yeah, but unladen. You load that thing up. You're probably not going to get 500 Ks. You'll probably be lucky to get 250. And they go, oh, well, we'll set up charging stations. We'll set up battery swap out stations. Where? How many? How many batteries are you going to have on standby? Because how many thousands of trucks do we have on the road every day that are going to need this? If you went down that path, you'd be finding one of these every 100 to 200 Ks along the highway, and you'd have trucks backed up for miles because, oh, this station's used up all of its batteries. You've got to wait several hours. Oh, we don't have the infrastructure to supply the electricity needed. It's short-sightedness. I can understand the push for it. But pushing right now without the infrastructure to support it is the dumbest thing a government can do. You know, and are we surprised with this? The ABS the ABS says that CPI rose 4.2% 12 months in the last 12 months to April 2026. The biggest contributors were housing, transport, food, and non alcoholic drinks. This isn't a political theory, it's everyday life. Because politicians stand up and tell everyone that everything is fine. Trust me, trust me, I'm from the government. As Ronald Reagan once said, there are 6 words to fear. I'm from the government. I'm here to help. You don't trust that. That scares you. And it's because people don't believe any of the stuff that the government's saying because they go to the shops, they pay rent, they fill up the car, they pay the power bill. This is where this moment matters. The rise of minor parties and independents has been a protest vote in the past, but it's not just about one person or party anymore, and it's not a protest. It's a warning sign, and it says Australians from the Australians, we don't feel heard. We don't feel represented. We don't think that the fat cats in Canberra really give a damn about us anymore. We do not trust the people that we've currently got there to fix it. And it's time for a change. That's why we see Pauline Hanson rising. That's why we see smaller minor parties rising. That's why it is a historic win for Pauline Hanson here in South Australia, that a state that has always been pretty much stable between Liberal and Labor has moved, and in total they got they just killed it here. They're only a seat behind a major party, the major party opposition, you know, which is the Liberals in South Australia. Liberals got 5 seats in the lower house. One Nation got 4. If the traditional politics was still working, there is no reason for One Nation to have won those 4 seats. So it shows that people do not trust the traditional politics. And the major parties can either listen, or they can keep calling voters names and blaming each other and pretending that nothing is wrong. And that's what they're going to continue to do. We watch our Prime Minister. He acts like nothing he does is wrong. He's never once apologised for his lies during the lead up to the election. And it's killing him. He is not going to last. I suspect we're going to see a party leadership spill before the 2028 election if things don't change in a major way for him. So let's see what happens. Anyway, enough of your time today, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe. Great. Best way to help the channel and helps me in the algorithm. We'll see you in the next one.